Hello, ladies and gentlemen, this is Big Dan Dangerous coming to you from the first ever podcast of 2015 of the Danger Zone. I want to thank Savage Graphics for our little title card here. So let's get on to our first guest of the year, a man that I tracked down that you have many questions for, Greg Knight. So, yeah, I gotta be honest with you, I'm a little scared right now. I don't know what you're capable of. Then I'm doing my job. So I guess the first question now is, Warfare, you lost the tag team titles, you left, we all thought you retired, you came back at Eruption, then you came back as Matt Wild's manager. I guess the first question would be, why did you come back? Or why did you choose to come back now? I mean, out of all this time, and you really have no idea where you're going with these questions, do you, Dan? You can tell you're new to this. See, I chose to come back now because it was the ripe moment. Much like picking grapes for a good bottle of wine, you gotta wait for the right moment. Everything boils down to that. And right now, it's the right time. Because so many people have their eye on CWA. So many people are watching, so many people want to know what's going to happen next. It was the perfect time to come back and show myself to everybody, to the CWA, and show who I really was to everybody, including Matt Wild. Let's get on to Matt Wild for a second. What are your plans for him? I mean, out of everything, why did you target Matt Wild? Why did I target Matt Wild? I'll tell you why I targeted Matt Wild. Because ever since we were little, he was the one who got everything. I was the little one who was pushed off in the corner and forgotten. I was the one who got nothing. And whenever I had an idea, it was Matt that got credit for it, even today. Everything that he has done was because of me. Everything that we have chosen to do was my idea, but he got credit for it. Matt Wild, I'm coming for him and everything that he loves. Alright, so you and Matt Wild, not the best of friends, I gather. Oh, see, that's where you're wrong, Dan. Let me interrupt you really quick. We were the best of friends. I would have taken a bullet for that man. Now, I'm gonna be the bullet for that man. Ever since the Night Terror and the entities found me, things have changed in my life. Let's talk about the entity for a second. How did they find you? How did you get in contact with the entity? I didn't get in contact with the entity. The entity got in contact with me. They found me walking one day, lost, and in a place that I thought I'd never be. And Night Terror decided to bring me into his family. He decided to take my dark self and make it my whole self. You can almost say, if it wasn't for him, this Greg Knight, the sick freak you see before you, wouldn't even have existed. We wouldn't, or I wouldn't even be here. So what you're telling me is Night Terror is what keeps everything together. It's because of him that you're all able to coexist together. And oh no, you see, we coexist because we have the one principle that no one else seems to grasp. You can't control the uncontrollable. And Night Terror understands that. He gives us a path, but we walk it our way. We choose what we want to do. So, even though me and him may not see eye to eye on everything. I know what he wants. He knows what I want. I know what Sin wants. Sin knows what Crow needs. We truly are a family. We truly are a group that doesn't need to speak. All right, so let's get back to you for a second. Let's get back to you and your creepiness. So, Greg Knight, RBK made you the commissioner out of left field. I understand he didn't call you or anything. He dropped the bombshell on you. So, how are you feeling about being made the commissioner, and what plans do you have for the CWA now that you are the commissioner? Being made the commissioner was never part of my plan. It was never something that I wanted, never something that I strived to be, but you know what? It was given to me. And that power rests in my hands, where I can do whatever I want. And the plans that I have for the CWA with my commissionership, I am going to make this a year that no one will forget. This means I can do any match I want, and nobody can say no about it. For once, I will have the power, and people will have to listen. I will no longer be ignored. And it's all part of my great plan. I should say our great plan, but whatever. Speaking of plans, was taking Andrew really part of your plan? I mean, we haven't seen him except for in video clips, I guess, that you quote-unquote leaked to CWA, but we haven't seen him here at CWA since Maximum Carnage. No, before that. What are you trying to say? That I don't know what I'm doing? That everything was just on a whim? No, you see, there is a plan for Andrews. There is a plan that I have stored in my brain. And I don't really talk to many people about it because, well, keep it a surprise for everybody. The only people who know are the entity, and they're the only ones who are ever gonna know. Here's the thing. Andrews has always been a figurehead in CWA, whether he was the champion or the co-CEO or whatever else you might throw out there. He was always a figurehead. And now RBK needs that figurehead. He needs someone that the people of CWA can rally behind, because let's face it, everything has gone to shit for him. He's going to try to take power back in some ill-gotten attempt, and Andrews is the key to stopping that. Andrews is my trump card, my ace in the hole. Andrews one day will be traded at the right time for the right reasons, but not before I get what I want. So then what you're saying is that the Dark Entity have some major plans in 2015. Yeah, we have some major plans in 2015. Have you not been listening? Have you not been paying attention? Think about the past couple big events we've had. The Entity has run over everyone in the ring. We have taken everybody to the dark place and left them there to rot. So yeah, the Entity has some major parts to play in 2015. What about you? What are your plans in 2015? What is Greg Knight's plans in 2015? My plans? My plans are to make an impact that will pretty much echo way after I am gone. I plan on making everyone remember the name Greg Knight. I will make everyone in the CWA remember who I am, including Matt Wild. Alright, let's get on that for a second. Matt Wild. Now, you turned your back on Matt Wild, but you turned your back on the CWA as well. Who do you have a bigger beef with? I mean, obviously you have a jealousy thing going with Matt Wild, but then there's RBK. I mean, you turned your back on RBK and the CWA. Who do you hate more? Oh, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. I have a problem with Matt Wild. I have a problem with RBK as well. I have a problem with the CWA. But between the two of them, my personal demon is Matt Wild. The demon for the CWA is RBK. So as far as which the bigger enemy for me, Matt Wild. Who's the bigger enemy for the entity? It's RBK. It will always be RBK. Because he doesn't understand what is going on. He comes out there with the fear of the Jaguar and he wants to get everyone all big and pumped up. I don't see that happening. So you're saying that your personal demon is Matt Wild. Uh-huh. So what's the end game? The end game? Yes. What is the end game with Matt Wild? What do you plan on doing with it? Oh, see, me and Matt, we're about to go to war. And God help anyone who gets in the way of that. Are you looking to take Matt out completely? I mean, you said you're going to take everything from him. I am going to take everything from Matt Wild. I will take every last ounce of blood, every last drop of his essence. I will make him nothing. So, folks, that's terrifying. So, at the end of days, we saw Tony the Man Taylor beat Team RBK to gain power in the CWA. What are your thoughts with this guy? Tony the Man Taylor, I have never had a problem with. I have never had a problem with Tony the Man Taylor or anybody on his team. But keep in mind, you step to the entity, you too will be dragged into the dark place. I have no problem with him as long as he knows the fundamental rule. Stay out of the darkness. So, and what is your thoughts about his new title? Just out of curiosity, Director of Wrestling Operations. Director of Wrestling Operations. Which means anything that happens in that ring is pretty much his fault. He controls everything that happens in that ring. Well, that's just fine. I've got no problem with Tony the Man Taylor yet. Alright, folks. Well, Greg Knight, Greg Knight, a little eccentric, as we thought he would be. You're just gonna leave? Okay, I had a few more questions, but Greg Knight doing whatever the hell he wants to do. I'm Big Dan Dangerous. This is the first episode of the Danger Zone. Don't forget, January is the CWA Awards show. And see you guys in 2 weeks.